I'm in the boat playing with spaces. I'm looking at group 27 batteries. So I need a compartment for the bilge pump. This is the lowest part of the boat, and batteries. So I think if I bring this bulkhead straight across right here, I can squeeze in a sump pump, a bilge pump under the batteries, make a shelf, and I can hold easily hold four group 27 batteries. I need one battery for house batteries. That's for lights, for radio, just for having on during the day. It's separate from the outboard battery, so you always know the thing's going to start at the end of the day. And if I get a big trolling motor, that's 36 volts, so that's 3 batteries. So probably won't get 4 batteries right away, but I want to have a place to put them. So I'm going to go ahead and run this bulkhead across and grind out where these two were. I'm not going to use those. And that will give me a storage box, fish box. It'll be over 6 feet long by the time it's insulated. So that's good stuff. And then up front, let me show you what I'm going to do up front. Come here. Let me see. This little compartment, this little space between these two bulkheads, we're going to make a water tank, a fresh water tank. Not so much for drinking water, well, not for drinking water at all, but just to have clean water to shower off if you've been swimming, or to wash your hands if you've been messing with fish. I think it's going to be easy to do, and I think it'll be a great asset to the boat. So I just need to clean up all this fiberglass muck that I've done, and I'm going to put a false bottom in it so that the water from the anchor locker up front can drain underneath unimpeded. And it should hold about 15 gallons, which would be nice. Okay, finished off the day with some serious grinding. I can put this bulkhead, in the morning. I can put the false bottom in the water tank in the morning, and I'm going to have to put a pipe underneath the storage box, so the front area will drain into this little mechanical area, but the ice box will have a separate drain with a plug because it needs to hold water. So plumbing coming up, lots of pipes. Messing around with some more epoxy. This is a totally different brand, and I just want to make sure it cure and get hard, and it does. So, you know, my goal is to coat all these surfaces of this laminating resin with epoxy before I'm finished, before I cover it up. Well, my bulkhead's set in place, and I actually gave myself a couple more inches just because I got chicken. It was a tight fit, so all I did was put a little hot glue to hold it in place until I do the cove. And I have the drain running across the bottom, so I'm going to put some hot glue and try to keep it down until I can glass it. And I've got the bottom for the water storage tank cut. Just cut it out of a heavy piece of fiberglass. I'm going to put it in here like so. Glass it in place. And that way the water from it, wherever, can drain under it. Whatever water can drain under the storage ice chest here in this pipe, and it will get to the low point of the boat, and that's where the sump pump will be, and the batteries. Well, long day, but I got the water tank all cleaned up, the false bottoms in it, and I got a few layers of glass, and it is ready for paint. And I got the drain pipe put underneath the cooler, the storage cooler, and I got this bulkhead put in, and I got 5 layers of glass on this side and 4 on the other, so it ought to be pretty good. It sits a little high. I need to trim the top, so I didn't cap it yet. Well, I can't cap it because I'm out of that biaxial, but I have some ordered. So it was a good day. Tomorrow we'll put some of this gray epoxy on it and seal it up, make it look pretty. And I wanted to talk about epoxy. The gray epoxy cures over laminating resin and seems to cure the resin also. I also had this blue epoxy, and it did not adhere over the resin. See where I could peel it off with my finger? So I guess you just can't assume that just because it's epoxy, it's going to do the miracle work. I must have got lucky when I got this 10-gallon unit of this gray stuff. Okay, this is my underfloor ice chest junk box compartment, and I would like for it to be watertight because I would like to fill this up with ice and water if we're fishing offshore. We're lucky enough to catch some big fish, and I don't want fish water getting in the bilge. I'd like for it to be totally separate, and it is very hard to seal one of these drain pipes that's on the floor and make it watertight. I got the same situation here. So I'm going to put a fake floor down, a false floor. Put these sheets of fiberglass. It came from the old stringers. I'm going to glass those down, and I should have any trouble making that watertight. And then I'm going to put insulation board on top of that. So it'll have a fake bottom in here. It'll be just like I did up front in the water tank. I'll just cover up that pipe. So practically speaking, I didn't even need the pipe. I could have just let it be a channel down there to drain water, but that's okay. Okay, so just stuck in place with some hot glue. I'm going to go cut some glass. That was a good leg workout, trying to straddle the wet resin without stepping in it. But I got 3 layers, and it's going to look really good when it's painted, and I'm pretty sure right now it's waterproof. I bought some Home Depot foam to insulate the fish chest. This foam is not quite as good of a R value as the Venicell or the roofing foam, but the Venicell costs 180 bucks a sheet, and this costs 10. And the roofing foam is not totally waterproof, and this definitely needs to be waterproof. The Home Depot foam is extremely water resistant. It won't absorb water. So I've got some scraps. This is not the same foam. I already had this, but I'm pretty sure it's the same product, just a different vendor. And I put some epoxy on it. I got some chop mat on this one, and I got some woven on this one. And the epoxy doesn't seem to dissolve the foam, but the polyester resin will, so I can't use polyester resin. Or I have to put a layer of something to protect the foam from the polyester resin. I also glued 2 pieces together. These 2 I glued together with the Dynaflex, which is a latex, and these 2 I glued together with the liquid nails. So I'll let them sit overnight and do some destructive testing to see. I need to put 2 layers in my ice box, so somehow or another I gotta get them to stay put until I can get a layer of glass on the inside. So I think I'm through with my underfloor plumbing, mechanical, electrical chases. Pretty sure. I wanted to show you what I have. Okay, up at the very front, this is my water tank for fresh water. It's not for drinking, but for showering and washing hands and stuff like that. It should hold about 15 gallons. The fill will just be a floor hatch. You just open it up, fill it with the hose. There'll be a sump pump down in there for water pressure, and it's going to pump through this PEX tube, and I got it coiled up right here. Somewhere over here on the side I will have one of those little handheld shower things. Simple as it can be. Power for this was a little challenging. Don't last long. You have to change them out pretty regularly. So I needed access to the connection between the boat power and the little pump hookup. So to get power, what I'm going to do is drill through this bulkhead and have some sort of junction box in the anchor locker cabinet. I don't like to do that because it's subject to abuse, throwing an anchor and an anchor chain and all that. I'm going to have to protect it some kind of way. That's the potable water. Now this is the fish storage tank, or just storage, but it's going to be insulated, and I don't want this to drain into the bilge, because if it's got the fish yuck, I don't want that in the bilge where I can't get to it. So this is going to have a sump pump, and it's going to pump overboard. We'll put a through hole right there on the sidewall. And power, I'm going to drill through this bulkhead and this bulkhead maybe several times, because the console sits right there, so there'll be a lot of interaction between the console and everywhere else on the boat. So fish box, the only thing it's going to have is a sump pump, like a bilge pump. Okay, now this is the bilge. It's also going to have a bilge pump. And it discharges through that little fitting and out the side of the boat, just right next to the fish discharge. It's also going to have the batteries. So some power will go through this bulkhead to underneath the console, where most of the power will be. But I have a 1-inch conduit here that goes up underneath this cap, and I ran a conduit under the cap when I had the cap off. So I have one on that side, and I have a matching one on this side. Goes up here. So I have options. I don't know exactly what I'm going to have up front, what kind of power I'll need. So the console goes right about where the vacuum cleaner is sitting. So I opened up a passageway from under the console to the battery compartment, and that does two things. It lets us fish some wires. It also drains the fuel tank into the bilge if water were to happen to get on top of the fuel tank, because the tank does lean toward the front a little bit. Ran a conduit for the fuel tank vent hose, and then I realized it was kind of low. It was going to make a loop. It would probably always have fuel sitting in it, and I don't think those kind of hoses are designed for that. So I just abandoned it and put one up higher. This one should be better. Okay, same on this side. I have a 1-inch conduit that could run cables to the front or the back, and I have a 1-inch conduit that can run cables to the back. And then I have the engine control conduit. It'll be trimmed off flush. That's 2 inches, and I think that should house all the engine controls. Now there'll be a bunch of stuff back in the back, but it's going to be accessible because there'll be hatches, and I don't know what all's going back there yet. So this might be over the top. I don't know, but I can't predict the future, and I don't know what all I'm going to have, and I think I'll be covered with these conduits. Probably be some extras, but that's okay. So the 4 batteries are going to be on 2 shelves in that little bilge area. Batteries are heavy, so instead of just screwing a cleat to the stringers, instead of putting a cleat to the stringers, I'm going to put this piece of glass, and it's going to go all the way to the hull. So the weight of the shells will be on here, and this will sit on the hull, and I'll epoxy it to the stringer, and I'm going to do, I have another piece I can do the other side with. So I'll have 2 of them, be super strong.
There's a 26-inch span on this shelf that's going to hold the 2 batteries, so I was a little concerned about it sagging, so I put a cleat in the middle. It doesn't reach the full width of the shelf, but I think it'll take care of the sagging issue, and I epoxied it and screwed it to the bulkheads. And the shelf I cut from a piece of the old boat again, and it is plywood with fiberglass on both sides. It is very heavy and very strong, and I think it's going to do the trick. And I insulated the fish box area, and that was kind of complicated, so I think that'll be a whole separate video. I was hoping to finish this video being ready to install the floor decking, but all the hurricanes that have been hammering the Gulf, we've been getting a lot of rain, so I haven't been able to finish the glass on the storage compartment, and I have not been able to foam the hull, so I've been working on other things. The fish box is ready for final glass. The top is ready to put on when the bottom is finished. I started on a leaning post using some bathroom grab bars. So been keeping busy, making progress, but unfortunately I was not able to end this video with the floor ready to go in like I had hoped. But next week should get some better weather, and I don't lack but too many hours, and we'll be putting the floor down. That'd be awesome. So thanks for watching.